We've come to the contributions from the politicians. Let me just remind you that we will have a question and answer session to the politicians after they have made their contributions, so you can think about your questions or your contributions to that in the course of their speeches. We've picked them in no particular order, and they are all, of course, national figures and front benchers. Though I know that they've got, I know that they're keeping the closest eye on their constituency. So we will identify them purely by their constituency. So would you welcome first from Carlow Kilkenny, Phil Hogan from Fine Gael.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Glad of the opportunity to speak to a group interested in political reform. About 15 months ago, we set out our position on various aspects of political reform. There wasn't that much interest in it at the time, a little bit of cynicism. So it's great to see that these issues now of institutional reform and political reform are centre stage and have been put as part of the Fine Gael 5-point plan. So we published a document called The New Politics about a year ago, and it's the most ambitious plan for political reform since the 1930s. I suppose you'd expect that Fine Gael would have something to say about politics and institutional reform in view of the fact that we created the state, declared it a republic, and we want to use the political reform agenda to ensure that we move on from there into making our system of government a lot more accountable. Our starting point is that political failure lies at the heart of Ireland's economic collapse. The finger of responsibility, you would expect me to say this in an election scenario, is points directly to the massive policy failures of the Fianna Fáil-led governments and their willingness to promote the interests of a small few rather than the overall interests of the citizen. However, it's clear that several key weaknesses in Ireland's political system have facilitated the failures of the last 12 years, and in particular a hugely centralised state with few real checks and balances, which in my view grew up in the era of Bertie Ahern's Taoiseach, an over-powerful executive that increasingly ignores the Dáil, a proliferation of state agencies and quangos that answer to nobody and no one, and a model of social partnership which effectively excludes the Dáil, and an outdated budget and fiscal system that makes it extremely difficult to manage the state's finances properly. So we've set out our proposals about how to deal with these matters head on. I suppose the new politics is central to our party's vision for the transformation of Ireland, and God knows it does require transformation. Just as political failure lies at the heart of the current economic crisis, so we believe that the new politics can play a vital role in returning our country to long-term growth and prosperity. So some of our proposals include a single-chamber Oireachtas with no second house, reducing the number of TDs. In other words, a third of the membership of the Oireachtas would be reduced. A significantly strengthened Dáil committee system that holds government to account. A fundamentally reformed legislative process that gives TDs real influence rather than just as lobby fodder in Parliament for the decisions of the executive. A vote in presidential elections for Irish citizens living abroad. A more transparent system of political funding and a direct ban on corporate donations, and a petition system that will allow citizens to have their concerns considered by Dáil Éireann, and an open government bill which will significantly strengthen freedom of information, which has been badly mangled over the last number of years, register all lobbyists, protect whistleblowers, and allow the Standards and Public Offices Commission to initiate and to launch its own investigations rather than waiting for a complaint to come in. So we believe that there's a fundamental shift in power needed from the state to the citizen, and we are in favour of, in a document I published in 2009, I know everybody read it before the local elections, they'll read all these documents very carefully, the electors, before we go to polls, I notice, but Power to the People was a document that I published which sets out policies in relation to devolution from the centre to the local, so that the command and control model that we have at the moment might come to an end, and that local voices would be have a better opportunity to have their concerns heard at local level. So we also believe that the citizens themselves should be more opportunities should be actively involved in reform of the electoral system, and we propose a citizens' assembly along the lines of the Netherlands and Canada in order to give an opportunity for people over a period of time of 12 months, 6 months, 9 months, but within 12 months that we'd have a constitution day for institutional reform to be put through to the people in a referenda about the changes that are required. One of those, obviously, to make the Dáil more effective would be reversing the decisions on the Abbey Lara judgment, which hampers legally the opportunities for Dáil Éireann to investigate these matters properly, to scrutinise them properly, rather than going off onto the expensive mechanisms of tribunals, which I think have, we know from the recent experience that they don't normally come to conclusions quickly. So we're serious about institutional reform. And I'm glad that the panel of experts have acknowledged that. We have realistic proposals that can be implemented quickly, and within 12 months we are promising to put a Constitution Day referendum to the Irish people. Thank you.